Okay, so I was trying to decide what I would do next as far as a video, and this video was inspired by MegaCon. After talking to the gentleman that was just recently getting into comic books, I thought to myself, you know what? There is something to covering some of these older comic books, and there are many channels that do it and really do it a lot better than me, right? Like if you want extensive content covering old comic books, definitely, and I've mentioned this in the last video and I will mention again, Comic Storian and Comics Explain. I really do believe they are the best of the best on this here YouTube space covering old comic books and just old new comic book stories, origins, powers, characters. They have the most extensive channels. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to start going through some of these old books. Now, I don't know how Marvel and DC feel about me just reading through their books. Um, I got this through Comixology, so I'm not going to use the Kindle app. I'm going to use the Kindle website because it's actually easier to navigate the comic on the Kindle website. I believe there's a way you can do this on a Kindle app as well. I just haven't really messed with it enough to figure that out yet, but as soon as I figure that out, I'll just use the Kindle app. So, as I was saying, I don't know how Marvel and DC feel about reading through the books. I don't know if I'm going to get a copyright strike for reading through the books. I do own these books, so I don't really know how this works, right? You never know what's going to happen in this YouTube space with Marvel and DC. You would think that they would celebrate fans enjoying their books and introducing other people to their books, but who knows how this will go. So we shall see. Luckily, my channel is still small, so I'm not on the radar at all. Now, who knows how things are going to change or how things might change in the future? I don't know. And they might strike down smaller channels as well. Anyway, like I said, based on this conversation I had with the gentleman just getting into comics, and I thought, you know what? There is a space for going over this stuff. So here we go. I'm going back to where we left off before on Batman Court of Owls, which is a great book in my opinion. So, of course, you see the cover here. Greg Capulo, again, great artist. His work is magnificent. So the book opens up with Bruce Wayne giving a little monologue about Wayne Tower, the original Wayne Tower. If you come to Gotham City today, right now, and took a tour, of the building, here are some things your guide will tell you. The tower was constructed in 1888 under the watch of my great grandfather, Alan Wayne. He built the tower to serve as a symbol of welcome to people coming to Gotham. And as your guide will point out, from the ground up, is designed to give visitors like you the feeling that they're cared for and protected. For example, your guide will say the building has 12 gargoyles, or guardians, as Alan insisted they be called, one to watch over each passageway into the city. And as you can see, I love the way the website navigates through the panels, and I'm going to figure out how to do this on the app. The five guardians at the first tier were placed there to watch over the five original gateways into Gotham: 3 bridges, 2 tunnels. Higher up the tower is the ring of 7 guardians, one to protect each of the 7 train lines that converge at Union Station below Wayne Tower's base. And at the top of the tower is the observation deck, which Allen insisted remain free and open to the public every weekend all year round. For the windows, Allen demanded that they all be the best glass or that the best glass be used, a kind of double bonded laminated float glass designed to be crystal quality, weatherproof, and most important, unbreakable. And it's interesting that You in the opening of this book right here, you get a window into the thinking of Wayne. This is a very thoughtful dude that thinks through everything, that pays attention to everything. Nothing gets past this dude. If he misses something, he will obsess about correcting that miss. And this is what makes most of us who love Batman love Batman. His attention to detail is parallel to none. And it really makes for such an interesting read. Unbreakable, that is, and less like the assassin who just kicked me through them. You know how to hit the glass just right. The throwing knives are perfectly placed, too, lodge tight in my brachial arteries. The pain and blood loss make it almost impossible to grab onto anything to break my fall. Make impact, make impact at the edge of the plate rather than the center where it's designed to bend and flex. Whoever kicked him out of this thing knew what they were doing. And again, the art and the detail. And this is one of the things I notice, and one of the things I love about artists like Greg Capulo. He knows where to add extreme detail and where to like let the detail taper off. It gives you a real feeling of flow when you're, watching his art. Impossible to do anything except bleed and drop and watch the city rise up to greet you. Oh, that's a way to go. 24 hours earlier, I'm positive I hit him with 2 pounds of Simtex. 2 pounds? Say what you want. I'll spike the ball when we're over the harbor. Our guy is supposed to be waiting just past the straits to take the statues. Some thieves, obviously. Why are we going so slow? I thought this thing was supposed to cruise at 200 knots. But our guy said all 10 of these things. Oh wait, I was supposed to read the other one first. It is, but he destroyed the coaxial with that bat thing. You want faster? Dump a few of the pretty ladies. But our guy said all 10 of these things are from the Hellenistic wing. 10. He isn't the one about to go down in the middle of the avenue. Start tossing them. I never was much for pale girls anyhow. And at least these ones won't scream. Or he's about to say scream, didn't get a chance to finish. Crash. And of course, again, detail where detail is necessary, and he tapers off where there's no need for detail. Like if you look in the upper left corner of the screen, you kind of taper off and you see the light, and the same thing sort of in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen where you see the tracks and there's detail, and you see that detail taper off, giving you that feeling of motion, and not just motion, fast motion. Greg Capulo really does some good work. He got Ralph. What are you doing, man? Get away from him. Turn. Shut up. The bat wants to play chicken. Let's play chicken. Well, that's a mistake. This is definitely not the one you want to be playing chicken with. And then you see, action going on there, and he says, What's he doing? And he jumps right on top of the train. Batman doesn't play around. When you think you have things figured out, Batman does something completely unorthodox. That's why I always love the books where you see villains catch Batman off guard, because that's when you know, okay, this is getting ready to be a good book with a lot of depth. And you see him now turning around. And again, like I said, the way Greg Capulo does his art, you get the sense of motion and you see exactly what's happening. And there's some artists, some new artists that don't really understand exactly how to do this. They don't know how to make this work, and they don't know how to convey motion. And look, I am no artist. I used to be. I used to draw, so I do know something about this. And I think there's this is the feeling I get sometimes. I get the feeling sometimes that some new artists don't take the time to study behind people who came before them. That's just my opinion. Next scene. He wouldn't. Oh, they don't know Batman if they think he wouldn't. He wouldn't. And you see him kind of smirking and revving up. They're like, he is not going to do it. Yes, he's going to do it. Turn, turn. I can't. The alley's too narrow. Yeah, Bruce knew it. Sir, Commissioner Gordon has arrived at the morgue. Noted, Alfred. Shall I assume you won't be back for the autopsy? I can power down the I'll be there. And he busts in through this glass. This art, it really, like I said, it really just grabs me. And I posted something to my X account earlier today. By the way, if you're not following me on X, just look for me, The Thinkening. And what I said was, when I got introduced to comic books in the early 90s, what drew me in initially was art. That's what grabbed me. That's what made me want to read comic books. I can deal with, now look, you should have good art and a good story. You should have both. You really need both to make a good book. But if I had to let one suffer, I want good art because I'm an art guy. Look, I know that's unorthodox and there's a lot of people that will disagree, but I am an art guy. If I wanted to just read a story, I'd go read a book, which I do read books. But the reason I love comic books is because not only do you have the literary artistic expression, but the artwork itself also tells a story. And even I've had some bad comic book stories with stellar art that I was able to muscle through because the art was just so good that I thought, man, it's not the greatest story, but this art is phenomenal. I enjoy this book. But vice versa, I've had stellar stories with terrible art, and I was not able to make it even part way through that. But sir, I have you all the way over. Relax. This will only take a moment. So Alfred, of course, is worried. He should know better. Okay, so, you see that big panel there. And now we're in the morgue at the autopsy. And I like the way Greg Capulo did this, like the camera's inside the body and you're looking out at Commissioner Gordon. And, we see the autopsy going on, the mortician doing an autopsy. I'm afraid there's a little more to relay than the obvious. Our John Doe was stabbed multiple times, likely an act of torture. Died from the oral wound here, which caused him to hemorrhage into his own throat. Choked on his own blood. Ah, Gotham, pleasant as ever. I should be going. They're waiting on me down in Burns. Hit the lights on. My way out, Bill? Don't you think I know the drill by now? Night, Commissioner. Okay, well, you're there? I'm here, Jim. Step back. Of course he put a scanner in the morgue. Ever thinking, knowing that there's times where he'll be in other places doing and handling other things like we see here, what do? Well, you place a scanner, a high-tech scanner that only Bruce Wayne would have access to in the morgue. Well, that's colorful. It work? Ready? So what we have is a genuine mystery man. Paid his rent in cash, no identification in the place. We checked his DNA against state and federal. Not one ping. This dude was off the radar. We know nothing about him except he made a pretty decent dartboard for someone. Here, there's extensive scar tissue around the ribs and abdomen, calcification, at his brow, side of his skull. Yo, Batman is so perceptive. Huh. The pugilist, beauty marks. You think our John Doe was a fighter in his glory days? Maybe, but he's got more callous material around his palms and wrists than his knuckles. Defensive scarring. A trainer? There are scars along his forearms, common injuries from swordplay. What did I do here? Get back there. Okay. So the guy is a high-end trainer. He's tough, is the idea. But now someone even tougher, someone he knows he can't beat, is coming for him. And the message he leaves for us to find is Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. It's curious. I contacted Wayne, asked him if he wanted police detail for the next 24 hours, but he turned me down. I take it you're keeping an eye on him. And it's stuff like this is always hilarious. Like, of course, Commissioner Gordon. You would think at some point Commissioner Gordon would learn that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And I think there are storylines where he has learned that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But the reason you want to keep this separate is, one, that would be a danger to Commissioner Gordon. And it would also be a danger to Batman. If Commissioner Gordon is ever captured, as somebody presses him, of course he would give up the goods. So I like the fact that they pretty much keep that separated in the story, not allowing Commissioner Gordon to know who Batman is. I have it covered. Jim, his third molar, right side, the scanner's picking up an abnormal fracture. Interesting. Right wisdom tooth, got it. Huh, take a look. It's an Athenian owl. It appears on coins in ancient Greece. It was a symbol of wealth and power. Huh, take a look. Same emblem on the throwing knives used to kill him. It's an Athenian owl. Okay, I already read that. My bad. Beware of the court of owls that watches all the time, ruling Gotham from the shadows, perched behind the granite and lime. They watch you at your hearth. They watch you in your bed. Speak not a whisper word of them, or, and he stops there. And this is something in this book that you find out. Bruce Wayne, Batman, really does not like this story of the Court of Owls. He has looked into it in the past, and you find out, that this is why he doesn't like it, because he looked at it in depth after his parents died. He was looking for every angle for who killed them and why. And this story, I think, more pisses him off than anything. I think it gets under his skin so much, and he feels like he's exhausted this. So he really doesn't like the fact that all through this book, people keep bringing this up. So he interrupts Commissioner Gordon. They'll send you the talon for your head. I know the nursery rhyme, Jim, but the Court of Owls is just a legend. To be blunt, so were you for a while. And that's a good point. This is a good point. And this is, you see, like, you think Batman has no weakness, right? Because if you read these comic books and you follow his story, you kind of get the impression that Batman is that guy. Like, nothing's going to get to Batman. But sometimes his arrogance is actually the thing that is to his detriment. And in this story, for sure, I think he was blindsided by that arrogance. And you know that they don't exist. And you know that because I just know. Well, whoever the killer is, he wants us to believe the ghost story. Yes, he does. So what we've got is a victim who was the same kind, who was the same kind of secret high-level bad guy trainer, a killer who's even tougher than him, apparently, out to get Bruce Wayne. And all we really know about either of them is that they have a thing for owls, and the tissue beneath the victim's fingernails, forensics came back empty handed. Anything on your end? No. Of course, Batman has, all of the Bat family DNA and all of that locked down. You'll never find their DNA anywhere. Okay, knock, knock. But I'm looking into it. I'll be in touch. Whoa, you installed a photogrammetric scanner in the city morgue? Of course he did. It simplifies things because Batman is always looking to simplify things. No more sneaking in and out. Come on. Though admit it, you're going to miss that ventilation shaft. The one with, this is the John Doe I briefed you on, Dick. The one who had your DNA under his fingernails. Good thing we keep all our Bat family DNA protected. Do you recognize him? I do. It was about a week ago at the end of groundbreaking for our new West Side Promenade. I was leaving. The press was taking pictures asking about your new Gotham initiative, and I was hightailing it out of there. And all of a sudden, this stranger, your John Doe, came up to me and grabbed my arm. He looked haggard, really at the end of his rope. And then before I could get away from the press and talk to him, he said something like, "They're real. They're everywhere. And they're sending him for you, all of you." So now this has got to be getting on Batman's nerve because this is all leading back to the Court of Owls, which, he's like, I don't believe these dudes exist. I've looked into this. And then security got to him before I could follow up. He was gone. I noted it, but honestly, I just assumed by the looks of him, he was a zealot or something. All fire and brimstone. Now though, still, I don't get why he would approach me when you were the one in danger. And your DNA, when security pulled him off, he still had my arm. I can take off my glove and show you. It was a week ago, but the scratch marks are still there. There's no need for that. Well, look at this. I'll let you know if there are any more developments that pertain to you. You already checked the surveillance footage from the groundsbreaking, didn't you? That's why you don't care about checking my alibi. Dick, you know me better than anyone, except perhaps for Alfred. Of course I checked their surveillance footage. I have to go. Well, enjoy yourself, partner, because according to your John Doe's flaming note, you've got less than 12 hours to live. Old Wayne Tower. I just want to say how much I appreciate you meeting with me, Bruce. I can only imagine how busy you must be these days. Not too busy to meet with Lincoln March, the next mayor of Gotham. Is that what the gossips are saying? Some. I don't doubt it either. I've been reading up on you. Self-made, captain of finance turned philanthropist. You've got a good story. You've done good work. You've done good work too. Funding the boys' home, setting up the after-school read and write. So what do you think? Does this number look satisfactory? So Bruce is, offering some money. Bruce, I'm not here to ask for money. Don't get me wrong. Every dollar is appreciated. Well, Mayor Hattie has about 10 lines of credit running at all times from sources that are questionable at best. If you're asking for a public endorsement, I'm afraid I don't do that. I'm not after a public endorsement either. Um, all I'm really after is your vote, which is kind of strange. My vote. You've come a long way for one vote, Lincoln. That's true. But I believe in what you're doing, Bruce. This initiative to rebuild Gotham, it's a good thing. And to be frank, I see you. I see you. A f- I see a friend in you, man. Uh, a cynic would say, you see an opportunity. That's true. And a cynic would say, you are spearheading this new Gotham initiative for the image of your company because it's a public holding and so on for private purposes. Is that what the gossipers say? Some. Maybe they're right. I should be going. I'll leave the check on the table. You know, Bruce, I lost my parents when I was a boy, too. It's strange, isn't it? The way it's just the details that stay with you. I can barely remember my mother's face anymore, but I remember this pin, clear as day. This pin she was wearing the day of the accident. I'd made it for her at a school in ceramics. It was this little heart, but it was all lopsided, with one side bigger than the other. She was wearing it pinned to this fancy dress of hers, my little ugly pin. I don't remember the drunk driver hitting us. I don't remember much of the accident. I don't remember seeing the pin on the ground, though as the paramedics took me away, the pin perfectly preserved, not cracked or broken, just lying in the road. All I wanted was for someone to pick it up. I lost everything I had that night. For a long time after I lived in a state of total hopelessness. I hated the world. But then I got funding for school. I was able to go to City College. The city saved me, Bruce. Gotham saved me. And you know, it's funny how a lot of these stories with Gotham City and Bruce Wayne is always set kind of in the vein that you see Bruce wants to see the best in the city, and he wants the best for the city. And sometimes again, this along with his arrogance blindsides him to what is obvious. It gave me a purpose when I was alone, just like I'll bet it did for you. When I look at you, I see an ally, a real one. And as I'm sure you know, this is a city where allies are few and far between. Ally, huh? Especially now. Especially now, why? Something bad has come back to Gotham, Bruce. Something ancient and powerful and evil. Lincoln, what are you talking? And as soon as he said something, someone comes crashing through, obviously injured this security guard. What the? And here we go. We are now in action mode. You, if you think you can scare, so he gets him with a blade. And like I said, there's a lot of things that Bruce should notice that his arrogance and his desire to see the best in the city blinds him from sometimes, which is actually good because it adds a depth to his character that removes this air of invincibility. Because if he didn't have that, you would think Bruce Wayne was invincible and can do no wrong. So he's like Lincoln, trying to figure out, what's going on. Shocked but not shocked, right? Because he's Batman. So Bruce Wayne has to put on a good act. When he's in situations like this, he has to like appear like he's shocked and afraid, even though he's not really, because he's Batman. Don't recognize him. Someone new, someone fast. And he's, of course, throwing these knives at him. Just me and him. but still have to be careful, restrain myself, never know who's watching. Go for strikes that look like lucky blows. So he's holding himself back. Solar plexus, mandibular nerve. All right, playtime's over. So now he grabs the dude up and he's like, all right, time to take you out. Doesn't make sense. It only takes 11 pounds of pressure to collapse a windpipe. I'm applying over 100 and he's not even flinching. Must be on something. Some kind of venom. Bruce Wayne, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die. And he kicks him through the window. And again, recognizing in an artist how this artist conveys certain things, how the motion of the kick is conveyed, the way the glass is broken, how that is conveyed. All of this is magnificent artwork. And the colorist, man, beautiful work. I love comic books like this. This is great. Too far out to grab for the Ring of Seven. By the time I reach the other 5 Guardians, I'll be at terminal velocity. And this is kind of showing you how fast Bruce Wayne's mind works as he's in dangerous situations. Okay, the Force will rip my arm off. How I love killing Waynes. Interesting statement. There's something I didn't mention earlier about the design of the Old Wayne Tower. Something your tour guide wouldn't mention either, because there's one Guardian people don't tell you about when you visit. They don't bother to mention it because it was added later in the 1930s, and because it sits in the middle of the building and can't be seen from the elevators or the deck. Elevator or the deck. The 13th Guardian installed by Alan's son, Henry, my great-grandfather, the Guardian for visitors to Gotham arriving by air. Super interesting. So that breaks his fall. You see this assassin fall down on a car, and of course this impact would kill anyone. Whoever it was that just tried to kill me, he was good, but he made one mistake. He tried to use Gotham's legends against me. But I am the only legend this city needs. In many ways, it's my oldest and truest friend. And it knows me better than anyone, just as I know it. And of course, you see this assassin wake back up, should have been dead, but he's not. Surprise. Which is why I can say that there is no Court of Owls. Not in Gotham. Not in my city. So he thought, and what a good book this book is. I think for anyone just starting out in comic books, if you have not read The Court of Owls and you want something good, as I said, this is a magnificent book, very well done. Scott Snyder's story, Greg Capulo's art, the colorist, all magnificent, all work together to make this and just such an enjoyable read. This is the type of stuff that I enjoy about comic book collecting and reading.